Hello and welcome to today's lecture on IEEE 802 LANs. In the last lecture, we have discussed about the various applications of medium access control techniques. One of the important applications of medium access control techniques is in local area networks. In this lecture, I shall introduce to you the first set of standards which were developed by the IEEE 802 committee. Here is the outline of today's lecture. First, I shall consider the basic characteristics of LAN, particularly the topology, transmission media and medium access control. These are the three parameters which characterizes a local area network. Then I shall discuss about the three standards which were developed by IEEE 802 committee, which are known as IEEE 802.3, that is based on CSMA/CD, and the most popular version of it is known as Ethernet. Another is based on token bus, which is known as IEEE 802.4, and the third one which we shall discuss today is IEEE 802.5, which is token ring based. So, we shall discuss about these three different types of local area networks and compare the performance of these three types of LANs at the end. On completion, the students will be able to explain the basic characteristics of local area networks. They will be able to explain the operation of IEEE 802 local area networks. The first one is IEEE 802.3 based on CSMA/CD, then the second one is IEEE 802.4 based on token bus, the third one is IEEE 802.5 based on token ring, and they will be able to compare the performance of these three LANs. First of all, let us define what do we mean by local area networks. Earlier, we have discussed about the packet switched networks, where we have seen the network can span over a very large geographical area, which are known as wide area networks. On the contrary, local area networks cover a very small geographical area. It can be a room, a campus, a building. So, it does not cover a very large area, say maybe 5 kilometer wide in both directions or 3 kilometer wide in both directions. So, a small geographic area is one of the key features of local area networks. Second important feature is high reliability. In wide area network, we have seen in packet switch networks, because the medium used is not very reliable, the standard telephone network using twisted pair, the reliability is very poor. On the other hand, in local area networks, we shall see it uses very reliable media like optical fiber, coaxial cable, and of course, it uses twisted pair, but very small segment length. As a result, it is very reliable. So, the need for error detection and correction is minimal here, particularly error correction is not used. However, error detection is provided as part of the schemes, as we shall see. Then it allows high data rate. We have seen that the packet switch networks, the wide area networks, do not have very high speed, although over the years the speed has increased. But as we shall see, the local area network will have very high speed, starting with maybe 10 megabits per second to nowadays 10 gigabits per second. So, you see the local area networks offer very high speed. Another important characteristic is that local area networks are privately owned. Wide area networks are usually owned by state, that means the government. Of course, nowadays many private companies are also owner of wide area networks, but that is the normal situation. On the contrary, local area networks owned by are privately owned, that means it can be owned by a single person or an organization or academic or government or industry, whatever it may be. So, these are the typical characteristics of local area networks or typical features of local area networks. Question arises, how do you characterize a LAN? There are three important parameters: the topology, transmission media and medium access control techniques. So, these three parameters characterize a LAN, and we shall see what are the various alternatives available so far as topology is concerned, transmission media is concerned and medium access control technique is concerned. First, let us start with the topology. The topology of a network defines how nodes and stations are connected. That means, as we know, in a local area network you have to connect a number of computers or stations. Need not be computer, it can be peripherals and other communication equipments like PDL, cell phones and whatnot. So, you can see there are three important topologies which are shown here. First one is bus, in which there is a shared media, and that shared media is shared by all the nodes. That means, all the computers or stations are directly connected to the bus. It is similar to that electrical line distribution. All the electrical equipment are connected to the electrical bus. So, it is somewhat like that, and we shall see how different computers can be connected to a common bus. So, here all nodes are connected to a common medium. So, we can say you require a single segment of the medium in this particular case. Another alternative is star, which is also commonly used. Here all nodes are connected to a central node. As you can see, here you have got a central node to which all the computers are connected. That central node can be a hub, later on we shall discuss about it in more detail, or it can be a switch to which different computers or other equipments can be connected. So, you have got a central node through which all the communication take place. So, as you can see, it appears like a star. So, that is why it is called star topology. The third alternative is in the form of a ring, where nodes form a ring by point to point links to the adjacent neighbors. Here, as you can see, each computer or station is connected to its neighbor with the help of point to point links, and point to point links are ultimately forms a ring. So, all the computers are connected in the form of a ring, and we shall see how they communicate with each other later on. Now, as we shall see, the transmission media, there are varieties of transmission media that can be used. The most popular is the twisted pair, although it has got the minimum bandwidth, but it serves the purpose in many situations. The second alternative is coaxial cable, which is widely used, and then the third option is optical fiber. The optical fiber is gradually becoming more and more popular because of its very high bandwidth, as you know. So, optical fiber is widely used nowadays in local area networks, and the last alternative is the wireless communication, and we shall see how different alternatives are possible for wireless transmission. Now, there is a close relationship between the topology and transmission media. The transmission media that you choose sometimes dictates what type of topology that can be used, or you can say the other way, if for a particular topology some special types of transmission media are suitable. For example, for bus, coaxial cable is the media which is the most suitable, and coaxial cable is used for whenever bus topology is used. On the other hand, for ring, it is possible to use twisted pair, optical fiber, but also it is possible to use coaxial cable if necessary. On the other hand, for star topology, it is possible to use twisted pair and optical fiber. These are the most commonly used medium. So, we find that there is some relationship between the topology and transmission media, and for different LANs these combinations are used. Finally, we come to the third important parameter, that is the medium access control technique that is being used. We have already discussed different types of medium access control techniques. The most popular medium access control that is being used is CSMA-CA, token passing, CSMA-CD, token passing, CSMA-CA, and of course there are other medium access control techniques like FDMA, TDMA, CDMA, which are also used, but for the three different types of LAN that we shall discuss today, we shall find that these are the two techniques which are used. That means these two techniques will be used. So, these are the various alternatives of medium access control techniques which are used in different types of local area networks. Now, let us focus on the IEEE 802 standard LANs. Now, IEEE 802 committee developed, as you can see, three different standards. As I mentioned, IEEE 802.3, IEEE 802.4, IEEE 802.5. Now, all these three standards share two common sublayers. First one is IEEE 802.1. This IEEE 802.1 essentially introduces different types of LANs, and also it serves some kind of inter-networking purpose. So, it is essentially used for inter-networking and also as an interface to the upper layers. Then you have got logical link control, which is essentially part of the data link layer of the OSI model. Similarly, the data link layer has been divided into two sublayers. One is your logical link control LLC, and another is medium access control MAC. So, this data link layer has been divided into two sublayers in IEEE 802. So, the functions of, and then the lower part is the physical layer, and here are the different functions performed by the two different layers, the data link layer and the physical layer. The physical layer performs the encoding and decoding. As you know, whenever you send digital signal, you have to perform some kind of encoding. Manchester encoding and different types of encodings are used. So, that encoding and decoding is done. Then collision detection, carrier sensing. If you use CSMA-CD or CSMA-CA, you have to perform collision detection and carrier sensing. Then of course, you have to do transmission and receipt, transmission of packets and receipt of packets. These are the functions of the physical layer, which directly interfaces with the medium. Then the data link layer, which is above the physical layer, performs station interface. It performs the data encapsulation and decapsulations. As we shall see, it will form some kind of frame, so that it is possible to perform synchronization and other functions, as we shall see. Then it does link management and collision management. So, whenever collision takes place, it does the management, so that it comes out of the collision, and also it performs this link management, as we shall discuss in detail later on. So, These are the three different types of standards. We shall consider them one after the other. First, we shall focus on the IEEE 802.3 specification, which is based on CSMA CD as I mentioned. Let us first focus on the physical layer. So, in the physical layer, it supports different type of transmission media. So, the types of transmission media that it supports varies from twisted pair to optical fiber. So, as you can see, it is concisely represented in the form of 10 base 5 or 10 base 2 or 10 base T or 10 base F. This 10 specifies the data rate, that means data rate is 10 megabits per second. So, this 10 signifies the data rate, and this base specifies whether it is baseband or broadband. So, in this particular case 10 base means baseband. However, there is a possibility of using broadband. In such a case it will be 10 broad 36 coaxial. So, in this case it is a broadband communication. On the other hand, for all these options which are shown here, it is say 10 base 5. What is the significance of this number 5? Here 5 signifies that each segment of the cable can be 500 meters in length. So, that is, it signifies the maximum segment length. This, for example, for this second option, the first option is 10 base 5, which uses thick wire coaxial cable. We shall discuss about it in more detail. Then 10 base 2, which uses thin wire coaxial cable, which is also known as chipper net, that can use a segment length of maximum length, say maximum segment length of 185 meter, which is rounded up to 2. Then the third medium that is being used is twisted pair, and the maximum segment length is 100 meter. And the fourth one is fiber, optical fiber, that is your multimode fiber is being used here. Maximum length is 2000 meter or 2 kilometer, and on each segment you can have different number of segments. For example, number of nodes or computers you can say. For example, in 10 base 5 you can have 100 computers. In 10 base 2 you can have 30 computers on a single segment. On 10 base T you can have 1024 computers. On 10 base fiber you can have 10,024 computers. And whenever you are using broadband, of course, the number as you can see is 36, and 36 is the length of 36 meter, and number is I think 1024. Now, the signaling used in different situations are here. For baseband, the signaling that is used is Manchester. We know that Manchester encoding helps you to synchronize the clock at the receiving end. That is why Manchester encoding is used in IEEE 802 or Ethernet, which is similar to IEEE 802.3. On the other hand, whenever broadband signaling is used, differential phase shift keying is used, and of course, the use of this is not very popular. I mean, it is not very popular. Baseband signaling is most popular. That is why we shall mainly focus on the baseband signaling, I mean the networks based on baseband signaling. Let us consider the 3 cases, rather the 4 cases that is being used in IEEE 802.3. First one is 10 base 5. It supports, as I mentioned, 10 stands for 10 megabits per second baseband transmission, base stands for baseband. The standard specifies 0.5 inch coaxial cable known as yellow cable or thick Ethernet. So, it looks like the cable that is being used as hose pipe for in gardening, yellow pipe, and each cable segment can be maximum 500 meters long. As I mentioned, this 5 signifies that, and up to maximum of 5 cable segments can be connected using repeaters with maximum length of 2005 meters. That means you can have a number of segments connected with the help of repeaters. So, you can put a repeater and then connect 2 such segments. In this way, you can have 4 such repeaters in between and connect 5 such segment in cascade to have a maximum length of 2500 meters. and as I mentioned, at most 1024 stations per Ethernet network is allowed. However, on each segment the number is only 100. So, on each segment you can have 100 nodes or users. Now, let us see how exactly this 10 base 5 works, how the cabling is done. This is that coaxial cable, that yellow coaxial cable of 0.5 inch diameter is running, and to connect one computer, a transceiver is directly attached, firmly attached to the cable, and a vampire hole is made. It is called tap. Vampire tap is being made, which goes to the almost half the coaxial cable. So, that means it touches the inner portion of the that means the core conductor, and that means the core conductor is connected and the upper conductor is in the form of braided mesh. So, these two are connected to a transceiver which is directly connected, firmly attached to the cable, and from that transceiver one AUI cable, attachment unit interface cable, is connected, comes to the computer. In the computer you have got a network interface card or NIC. So, to each computer it is either built in as part of the motherboard or there is a separate card. So, from the AUI cable can be 50 meters in length. So, this is how a computer can be connected in the case of a 10 base 5 standard. So, this is the 500 meter segment, and at each both ends we have got terminator. This terminator is very important, so that there is no signal reflection at the other end. So, this is one segment, and whenever a computer has to be connected, a vampire tap is made and a transceiver is attached, and that from that transceiver a AUI cable goes to a computer. This is how to this coaxial cable different computers can be connected. In this diagram, two computers are connected with the help of two transceivers. So, the transceiver does send, receive, collision detection, electronic isolation, and the other function is done by the network interface card, which is part of the motherboard of the, which is connected to the motherboard of the computer. So, this is how the 10 base 5 works. On the other hand, the 10 base 2 also supports 10 megabits per second baseband transmission. The standard specifies 0.25 inch coaxial cable known as CheaperNet or thin Ethernet. So, here the coaxial cable is of cheaper variety, which is used in cable TV, and which is 0.25 inch diameter, and that is why it is also called CheaperNet, because of its lower cost, and also it is called thin Ethernet because this diameter is thinner than the standard 10 base 5. So, here as I mentioned, this 2 actually 185 meter is the maximum segment length, and up to 5 cable segments can be connected using repeaters with a maximum length of 925 meters. So, in this way you can have with 5 repeaters you can have 925 meters, and total number of computers is same 1024. Now, this particular it is connected in this manner. The cable is whenever a computer has to be connected, the coaxial cable is cut, and there is a BNC T type connector at both the cable is attached at both ends of the cable, cut cable, a BNC connector is connected, and that can be connected to the network interface card, which is available in the form of a T. So, this T connector is essentially connected to the network interface card, and then these two which are connected to two ends of the cable can be connected to the network interface card. So, in this way this thin Ethernet cable can snake through the entire building or entire floor and can go from one computer to another computer having a BNC T connector for each of the computers. Then comes the 10 base T, which supports 10 megabits baseband signal and baseband signaling. Here it uses twisted pair, as I mentioned. The twisted pair can be used both of category 3 or category 5 cables, and it requires a hub or the hub in the as the center node. Hub is essentially multi-port repeater. Hub is a multi-port repeater. That means whatever signal is present here are also present in all the ports, and the stations are connected with the help of a RJ45 connector. That means this twisted pair cable is connected to the hub with the help of a RJ45 connector, and maximum length of each of these segments can be at most 100 meters, as you can see. And this approach, you may be asking why we have deviated from using coaxial cable. Actually, in case of 10 base 5 or 10 base 2, there is always a problem of loose connection, cut and other problems, and for that purpose time domain refractometry is used for detection of fault, and which is very time consuming. So, that problem can be avoided in case of this hub based 10 base T Ethernet network, and it is very easy to maintain and diagnose a fault. So, that is why this particular topology has become very popular. Now, another alternative, as I mentioned, is 10 base F, where F stands for fiber. We can use 10 base fiber particularly when the distance is longer. So, there are 3 alternatives: 10 base FP, a passive star topology is used, which allows you 1 kilometer link, and 10 base FL, which is the most popular, and asynchronous point to point link, it gives you up to 2 kilometer. And third alternative is 10 base FB, a synchronous point to point link, which also used to up to 2 kilometer in 15 cascaded repeaters can be used in this particular case. So, we have seen the various alternatives of the Ethernet or IEEE 80.2. So, as I mentioned, Ethernet and IEEE 802 are not really the same. Ethernet was the standard developed by Xerox, DEC and Intel, and IEEE 802 was developed based on Ethernet. So, that sometimes we whenever IEEE 802 is mentioned, we refer it to Ethernet, but they are not exactly same. Ethernet was the standard developed by the 3 companies, DEC, Xerox and Intel. On the other hand, IEEE 802.3 was developed by IEEE 802 committee. However, they are very similar. As you can see, there is some dissimilarity in the frame format. There is a preamble. Preamble is a sequence of 1 zeros, alternative 1 zeros, and since it uses Manchester encoding, the consecutive 1 zeros appear as 10 megabit per second per second square waves at the receiving end, with the help which the receiver can do the synchronization. Then in IEEE 802.3 there is a start frame delimiter, which is of 1 byte, that means 10101011, which signifies the start of a frame. So, synchronization is done with the help of these 7 bytes, that means 7 bytes means 7 into 8, 56 alternate bits, 1010 bits. Then it uses the destination address, starting at the source address, destination medium access control address, source medium access control address, and this destination address and source address are essentially 48 bit. As you can see, the total length is 48 bit. This is the MAC address, and the first 2 bits defines the individual whether this is meant for individual address. If it is 1, it is meant for group address, and whenever this is this U/L bit 0, then it is meant for global administered address, or 1 stands for local administered address. So, with the help of these 2 bits, it defines the nature, whether it is meant for unicast, broadcast or multicast. and with the help of the 46 bits it allows you about large number of 7 into 10 to the power 13 global addresses. So, it allows you to have so many addresses to be used in case of Ethernet, and this is a fixed address which is being used in this case. Of course, the IEEE 802.3 standard originally allowed both 2 byte address and 6 byte address, but 6 byte address is the most popular. Then LEN stands for the length of the length or the number of data bytes. As you can see here, it differs from Ethernet. In case of Ethernet, it defines the type of the higher level protocol. On the other hand, in IEEE 802.3 it specifies the length, specifies the number of data bytes. So, here is the number of data bytes. The data bytes can vary from 46 to 1500. You may be asking why 46. The reason for that is there is a restriction on minimum length of the frame, and that has to be, if the data byte is 0, then a 46 byte pad is introduced. That is why whenever there is a 46 the data byte is 0, there is a 46 byte byte pad. On the other hand, if the data byte is itself more than 46 byte, it can be only the data byte, no pad is necessary. And finally, there is a frame check sequence which uses the that CRC 4 byte, that means 32 bit cyclic redundancy code for error detection. So, as you can see in LAN in IEEE 802, error detection was allowed, was provided. I have already discussed about this. Then there is another important point, as you can see between two frames there is a mandatory gap of 9.6 microsecond. This gap is allowed, which is essentially 96 bit time delays provided between frame transmissions. This is provided to enable other stations wishing to transmit to take over at this time. For example, one frame transmission is over, and before another frame can be transmitted, this gap is allowed so that other stations can send their frame. Of course, there is a possibility of collision. We have already discussed about how this binary exponential backoff algorithm is used whenever there is collisions or multiple collisions, and I need not discuss it here at this point. So, using this this binary exponential backoff algorithm, it comes out of the collision if possible. Otherwise, after 16 attempts, 1 plus 15 collision attempts, it comes out and the packet is discarded. Now, there are some important points to be discussed about the collision detection. As you know, a station sends a frame, and while sending it senses the medium, and collision is detected if station senses exceeded the signal strength. That means, essentially it is done by some kind of analog signaling, by analog circuit. If the signal level is higher, then it detects a collision, particularly in coaxial cable. On the other hand, whenever the twisted pair is used, then of course, as you know, you are using some kind of hub. So, if there is signal on more than one ports, that means there is collision. So, this is how collision is detected, and whenever a collision occurs, what the station does? The station, as you know, the transmitting station sends a jamming signal after collision is detected, and it can be either 32 bit jamming signal, alternate ones and zeros, or 48 bit jamming signal. So, the jamming signal serves as a mechanism to cause non-transmitting stations to wait until the jam signal ends. That means, the transmitting stations who have suffered collision will send the jamming signal, and so that jamming signal will alert the other stations, so that they will wait until the jamming signal is over before starting transmission. Now, as I mentioned, there is a concept of minimum frame size, how it occurs. The reason for that comes from this particular situation. As you can see, that A starts transmission at time t is equal to 0, and before it reaches the other end, the the other end the B starts transmission, and of course, when this end reaches, there is a collision here, collision is detected by B. When this also reaches A, there is a collision. So, you can see depending on the propagation time, where tau is the propagation time, a frame must take more than 2 tau, that is the 2 times the propagation time for detection of collision. Now, in terms of slot time, this corresponds to 51.2 microsecond, which is corresponding to 512 bytes. That means it assumes that whenever you have got say a maximum number of segments connected by repeaters. So, this is a repeater here, another segment. In this way, you can have a number of segments cascaded, and then the end to end delay is 2 times the end of delay is 51.2 microsecond is assumed. So, this corresponds to 512 bytes. So, you require the frame size a minimum of 62 bytes. Of course, the other parts are there. For example, you have got the other parts. So, 6 plus 6 plus 2 plus 4. So, if you add these two 12, 14, then 20. So, this if you subtract 20 from 64, 6 plus 6 12, 14, 18. 18 if you subtract from 64, you get 46. That is how the 46 comes. So, we have seen the need for the minimum frame size of 64 bytes. However, there is a if there is a collision, there is a possibility of late collisions that take place after 64 bytes. That can happen because of excessive cable length or too many repeaters or faulty connector of defective network interface card. So, this can happen in abnormal situations, otherwise all the collisions will occur within this time, within the transmission time of 64 bytes. That is why that minimum length of the segment of the packet is provided, and during that transmission all the collisions will be detected. Now, let us come to the second important standard, that is your IEEE 802.4 based on token bus. Because of the non-deterministic nature of the medium access control, that is CSMS CD, many people from industry were not satisfied with the CSMS ADB's protocol, that is your 802.3, particularly General Motors, who are interested in factory automation. They suggested there should be an alternative where we can send real time traffic, or the time is deterministic, that the maximum delay is deterministic, and that is how the token bus standard was developed by IEEE 802 committee. Here as usual, like Ethernet or IEEE 802.3, a bus is used, and to which the computers are connected the way the computers can be connected in IEEE 803. However, they form some kind of logical ring. As you can see, A is connected to B and B is connected to E, E is connected to G, but it is not necessary that they will follow the same order. So, the order in which it is connected to the cable can be different from the order in which this logical ring is formed. Then each station passes a token to its successor to gain access control of the bus. That means, there is a token, each station will get a token, and whenever it gets a token it transmits the data, and in this way the data transmission is possible. And there are 4 priority classes 0, 2, 4 and 6, with 0 the lowest and 6 as the highest priority. That means, if a particular station has frames of highest priority, it will first send those frames, and then other station, then it will send the lower order lower priority frames. So, in this way, so we find that to support real time traffic, priority concept is introduced in token bus protocol. and here is the frame format used in token bus standard. As you can see, this frame format is different from IEEE 802.3 frame. Here you have got the preamble. Preamble is essentially for the purpose of synchronization, but instead of 7 bytes, here it is only 1 byte. Then there is a start delimiter which signifies the beginning of the frame, and also there is a end delimiter which is a special character used for marking the start and end of the frame. So, the packet length is not mentioned here. This is essentially limited by the start delimiter and end delimiter. And as usual, there are destination address and source address, and however, the token bus standard allows 2 byte or 6 byte address, and 6 byte address is very similar to that IEEE 802.3. Then the data size can be here from 0 to 8182. Of course, whenever 6 byte address is used, you have to subtract 4 from here. So, it becomes 0 to 8176. If you subtract 4, then 78. So, it can be 8178 maximum whenever 6 byte address is used. Whenever 2 byte address is used, then it is 0 to 8182. Now, there is a frame control bit. The frame control bit has got the priority bits, and it signifies whether it is a data frame or a token or a control frame, and it performs various types of control apart from the priority, and it specifies it is a control frame. As you can see, there are several types of frame control which are mentioned here: claim token, solid successor 1, solid successor 2, who follows, token, set successor. Let us see how it is being done in a distributed manner in token bus, that means the ring maintenance. So, ring maintenance is a very complex case in case of token ring. Possibly the medium access control is the most complex here. Now, this claim token packet, as I have shown here, this particular packet is used in the beginning at the time of initialization in case of a lost token, or whenever there is no token at all. That means, when a particular station is turned on, a system is turned on, then it will send a claim token packet, and it will say that this particular the token is the particular station is holding the token. That means, in the beginning there will be no station active. So, whenever a particular station turns on, it sends the claim token packet and it sends the token. It essentially is the holder of the token. Now, gradually other there in the one after the other, the stations has to join the ring. How it can be done? So, that is being done with the help of this solicit successor 1 frame. Whoever is holding the token occasionally will send the solicit successor 1 frame. So, whenever a solicit successor frame is sent, the other stations who are waiting for joining the ring will send a resolve, will send a solicit success, will respond and join the ring. And however, if there is collision, there is a possibility that more than one stations are waiting and wanting to join the ring, then the resolved contention packets are used to resolve the collision. And in this way, one after the other, the rings can join. Suppose a particular station has the predecessor P and successor address S, and this is the address. That means, if a new station joins, then what will happen? The successor address, the new station's address will be the successor's address. So, it is a new addition, and the new station will have the X as the predecessor and the that successor will become the address of the new station. So, in this way a station can join. However, the addresses are arranged in a higher in a descending order. That means, the packets are transmitted in a descending order. That means, here it goes from the highest address to the lowest address and so on. In this way it goes. Then a particular stations may want to leave the ring. In that case, it sends a set successor packet. It is very easy to do. For example, a station has the predecessor P and successor S, and so if it wants to leave the ring, it will simply ask the predecessor to make X as its successor. So, now X is the successor of P, but now X will request so S as the successor of P. In this way X will come out of the ring. So, this is done by using the set successor packet by broadcasting, by sending this this particular address, this successor's address. Now, that solicit successor 2, this is also necessary in situations where the contention, suppose there is no response from other stations. In that case, this is being used for new stations to join the ring. Now, this fault management is necessary, involves fault management of duplicate frame. So, it uses who follows packet when a successor does not respond in time. That means, in this case what is happening, a particular station has sent a token. Its successor either should send the data frame or it should send the token, but if it does not respond, then this particular this is being done, and a who follows packet is sent. Who follows means that the next successor, if the present successor does not respond, the successor of the successor has to respond. If the successor of the successor does not respond, then this particular solicit successor 2 packet is introduced, so that whoever is in the ring can join, or waiting for joining can join. So, in this way the ring maintenance is being done in a dynamic manner. So, here we find this ring maintenance is performed in a distributed manner, and any station who is holding the token will act as some kind of master, and can issue these control frames. On the other hand, in IEEE 802.5, which is based on token ring, as you can see, rings are organized in a logical ring, physical ring. As you can see, here it can operate in two modes. Either it is in the receive mode or monitor mode, or in the transmit mode. So, if a particular station is simply, if it is simply looking at or watching the frames to go by, then there is it receives the packet, it introduces a delay of 1 bit, then retransmits. So, in this way there is a delay of 1 bit as a token or a frame goes by. But if a particular station gets a free token, then it grabs it and then it changes to the transmit mode. So, whenever it changes to the transmit mode, it receives the it breaks the link, as you can see logically, and then it receives the token and then it transmits the frame into the ring. So, this is how there are two possible modes. One is your the receive mode, another is transmit mode. Now, this is a very unreliable situation in the sense that the way it is connected, if there is a break anywhere, then the entire ring collapses. No communication is possible, because each particular station has to take part in relaying the token or the frame. So, to overcome that problem, a varying concentrator is used, where all the cables are connected to a central point which acts as a some kind of central node, this wiring concentrator, and there is a bypass relay for each of these stations. So, whenever a particular stations become faulty, then it can be bypassed with the help by closing a micro switch or relay for each of the stations. So, you can say this is the third mode known as bypass mode whenever this kind of wiring concentrator is used. So, in this topology, the reliability of the topology can be improved by introducing a wiring concentrator, as you can see. Now, here is the token ring frame format, and as you can see there are 3 bytes. First one is the starting delimiter, second one is the access control, and third one is the frame control. And then you have got the destination address, source address, as usual it can be from 2 to 6 bytes, and surprisingly there is no limit on the data size in case of token ring network, and it uses only 4 byte checksum, 4 byte checksum for error detection, and there is a ending delimiter, and there is another byte at the end which essentially is used to indicate the frame status. So, that means as the frame goes by, obviously it is going in this direction, first the starting delimiter, then access control, then the frame control, then the destination address, source address, data, in this way it goes, and at the end when the last byte goes by, the frame status can be indicated with the help of 2 bits, A and C bits. So, if the destination is not present, that means by looking at this address. So, if it comes back, then both are 0 0, initially both are 0 0, these 2 bits. Then as the ring traverses, when if your destination address is destination address gets it, but if there is error, then it does not accept the packet. So, it makes changes the bit A to 1, but C remains to 0, and when as the frame goes by, if it finds that the checksum is also correct, then what it does, it sets both the bits 1 and A and C bits 1. So, in this case destination is present and frame copied. That means, as the frame goes by, automatically the frame status bit sends and it acts as an acknowledgement to the source address. So, when the frame goes to the destination, it removes it, and also not only it removes it, but it comes to know that there is a whether there is a error or the frame has been removed or something like that. Now, for the purpose of as you can see, there is a token. Whenever there is no data, then there is no need for destination address, source address or anything. So, the access control bit specifies that this is a token, and token is only 3 bytes comprising starting delimiter, then access control and frame control. That means, whenever there is no data, this token keeps on circulating. In a lightly loaded token ring network, most of the time the token will keeps on circulating. However, whenever a station has some data, we will grab the frame and it will convert the token into this kind of frame format and send it. Now, there is a monitor. One of the stations is designated as a monitor station, which performs the ring maintenance. Particularly, it does duplicate address test, it does fault location whenever there is some break in the network, and whenever there is no there is no monitor, it finds that there is no monitor, it tries to claim the token to become a monitor. This is necessary in the beginning, and whenever there is a orphan packet circulating around the ring, it purges, and also occasionally it sends a token frame indicating that the active monitor is present, and also there is some other stations who has the potential to become monitor, occasionally sends this kind of frame. so that in case of the active monitor fails, then this particular standby monitor will take over. Now, here is a quick comparison of the three protocols. So far as the access determination is concerned, CSMA CD uses contention, token bus uses a token, token ring also uses token passing. Packet length restriction, as we have seen in case of CSMA CD, there is a packet length restriction of 64 bytes, which has to be greater than twice the propagation maximum propagation time. Now, in case of token bus or token ring, there is no such limits. Then priority is not supported in CSMA CD, it is both supported in token bus and token ring. And sensitivity to workload, the CSMA CD is the most sensitive, token ring is sensitive, but token ring is the least sensitive. And the principal advantage of CSMA CD is the simplicity, and it has got wide installed base. Token bus has got regulated or fair access. The token ring also has got regulated and fair access. Principal disadvantage of CSMA CD, as we know, non-deterministic delay, and token bus has the highest complexity, and token ring is also complex, but lesser than the token bus. So, here is the time to give you the review questions. Question number 1 is list the functions performed by physical layer of 802.3 standard. Question 2, why do you require a limit on the minimum size of Ethernet frame? Question 3, why token bus is performed over CSMA CD? Question 4, what are the drawbacks of token ring topology? Question 5, how the reliability of token ring topology can be improved? So, these questions will be answered in the next lecture. So, here is the answer to the first question of lecture number 27. In what way FDM differs for FDMA? In FDM, channels are statically assigned to different stations, which is inefficient in case of burst traffic. On the other hand, channels can be allocated on demand. The efficiency is improved in FDMA by allocating on demand by using dynamic sharing technique to access a particular frequency band. So, this is your FDMA. Question 2 was, in what way CDMA differs from FDMA? In FDMA, the transmissions from different stations are separated in frequency. On the contrary, in CDMA, the transmission from different stations occupy the entire frequency band at the same time, and multiple simultaneous transmissions are separated by coding theory, as we have discussed in detail. Question 3 was, what happens when multiple signals collide in CDMA? We know that as multiple signals collide in CDMA, they are added to form a new sequence, which is used at the receiving end to demultiplex the sent data. What is an inner product? We have discussed that it is essentially if two code sequences are multiplied element by element and the result are added, we get a number called inner product. For example, S1 and S2 are the two codes, and if we multiply them and add them, we get 0. So, if we multiply two different codes, we get the inner product as 0. On the other hand, if S1 into S1 is 4, because you have got 4 chip sequences, so inner product is 4, and similarly the inner product for S1 into S1 bar is 0, or it can be as a S1 dot S2 bar is also 0. Question number 5 is compare and contrast FDMA, TDMA and CDMA techniques. So, here is the answer. In case of FDMA, the bandwidth is divided into separate frequency band. In case of TDMA, the bandwidth is time shared. On the other hand, in case of CDMA, data from all stations are transmitted simultaneously and are separated based on coding theory. Unlike FDMA, CDMA has got soft capacity, which means that there is no hard limit. Particularly in FDMA and TDMA, it is band limited. On the other hand, in CDMA, it is interference based. But CDMA offers higher capacity in comparison to FDMA and TDMA. CDMA also help to combat multipath fading. So, with this we conclude today's lecture. In the next lecture, we shall discuss about the high speed local area networks. Thank you.